According to a 2016 study done in the Journal of Child and Family Studies, 7.3% of 8th graders, 19.9% of 10th graders, and 33.2% of 12th graders have reported alcohol consumption within the past month. And while these numbers may not seem staggering to you now, then we better put into perspective later on in the presentation. Good afternoon, I'm Brennan McInerney, and this is Peer Pressure and Underage Drinking. The research question I examined is, to what extent has peer pressure influenced teenage alcohol consumption patterns in the United States within the 21st century? With all of my research considered, I found that peer pressure has substantially increased teenage alcohol consumption levels in our country within the past 20 or so years. Now, how does peer pressure affect the teen brain? According to a 2013 study done in the Current Directions of Psychological Science, peer presence accentuates risky decision-making by stimulating activity in the brain's reward valuation system. Frankly, it's a simple cause and effect relationship. The cause is that while teens are undergoing puberty, their brains are at a very vulnerable state with all sorts of hormones flowing around. Anyone that's ever been a teenager knows that teens struggle with finding a sense of self-identity and feel a need to conform within a group. The effect is that teens will make decisions that are often not logical in order to fit in within a group. The potential reward of fitting in within a group outweighs the potential consequence of, say, getting grounded or illegal action being taken by the cops because underage drinking is illegal. Now, if underage drinking is not only illegal, but often discouraged by role models and parents, there must be some unseen force driving its initiation. This unseen force is peer influence. According to the Journal of Addictive Behaviors, there's a shifting of relative importance between peer and parental influences throughout adolescence. As adolescence occurs, peer influences become stronger while parent influence becomes less salient. This same journal also found that increase of affiliation with drinking peers leads to a greater risk of heavy alcoholic use. As you go through adolescence, you tend to spend more time with peers, and if these peer influences are becoming stronger and you hear less and less of the logical voice of your parents in your head, you're more likely to listen and do what your friends are doing. And as the second piece of evidence suggested, if your friends are drinking, you're more likely to be influenced by your friends to drink. A 2013 study done in the Journal of Research on Adolescence surveyed teens from different backgrounds all across the United States. Surveyed them on their alcohol consumption levels, coupled with their corollary social circle characteristics. The base group was 4 friends. With one additional friendship, the chances of drinking increased by 5.6%. With 3 additional friendships, the chance of drinking increased by 17.9%. With 8 additional friendships, a relatively large social circle, the chances of drinking increased by 55.3%. This is likely due to the fact that with a larger social circle, you have greater exposure to chances of peer pressure, and there's a greater chance of being surrounded by peers that drink. And as I discussed before, when you're surrounded by those that are drinking, you're more likely to be influenced by them. Now, if underage drinking has been ingrained in our culture for the last 200, 300 years and cultures all around the world, then it shouldn't be such an issue, right? That's the thing. The consequences outweigh the short-term buzz of throwing back a few beers with your friends. These short-term effects snowball into long-term, lasting negative effects. As per the CDC in 2021, underage drinking causes roughly 4,000 deaths per year. This is equivalent to 220,000 years of potential life lost. Here are some of the short-term consequences of teen drinking: lower academic achievement, higher truancy rates, and dating violence perpetration. Teens are the future adults of this world. And keeping them safe and in school, getting an education, means that moving forward, our society is going to have successful, good members of society that aren't going to be an issue. These are essentially short-term effects that moving forward is going to have a greater effect on their life and ultimately society as a whole. Now, a terrible long-term effect of underage drinking is seen in this statistic provided by the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. People who begin drinking before the age of 21 are 4 times more likely to develop alcohol dependence than those who start at 21. By alcohol dependence, it means alcoholism. Alcoholism is a terrible substance abuse addiction that can tear apart the lives of alcoholics and the family and friends that surround them. Now, all's not done. There are potential solutions to underage drinking. The most important one is stronger parental involvement in teens' lives. Several studies have shown that simply a parent's knowledge of where their kids are on a Saturday night decreases the chances of a DUI or a DUI-related car crash. Promoting positive role models in society, like say someone that stands for something good, like an athlete, Simone Biles, or someone that sends out a message of peace, Bob Ross, is much better for kids to see than, say, rappers or celebrities who have issues with substance abuse and alcoholism. And lastly, community cooperation. Putting rules into place on underage drinking, and not only putting those rules in place, but enforcing those rules, does a great job of discouraging kids from drinking, because if you know there's an actual consequence that's going to happen if you get caught, much less likely to partake in underage drinking. The issue with peer pressure in underage drinking is, as one person is peer pressure in underage drinking, that's another person that's an underage drinker. As I've shown before, when you're exposed to larger amounts of people that are partaking in underage alcohol consumption, you're more likely to be caught doing the same thing. This essentially creates a positive feedback loop where one person gets influenced and so on, so on, so on, because the large in social circles around the country, there's more kids drinking. We can address this by changing the culture that surrounds peer pressure and ultimately eliminating the root cause. Thank you.
All right, 2 questions for you, Brendan.
Sure.
First up, how valid and reliable were the sources that you used, and then how do you know?
The sources all came from peer-reviewed academic journals, and they're all related to the topic.
All right, and what advice would you have for other researchers who take on this topic?
I would say to look for sources that show a direct causation between peer pressure and underage alcohol consumption rather than a loose correlation.